Hassan Nasrallah has been taken off the battlefield. After 34 years, his reign is over, and he is now answering for the atrocities he committed throughout his life. See, this is one thing about our God, is that these people will never get away with what they do. And today was Hassan Nasrallah's turn to stand before God. Last night, just as Benjamin Netanyahu was stepping to the podium to speak to the United Nations, which has been absolutely brutal, attacking Israel for everything they do, they haven't gone after Hamas that much. They haven't gone after Hezbollah that much. They haven't gone after Iran that much. But they've been going after Israel no matter what they do. There's nothing they can do right. And he made that point in his speech, that this goes much farther than this particular conflict. That over its history, the United Nations has made these denouncements of Israel more times than they have denounced all the other countries on planet Earth combined. We're talking about North Korea, Russia, China, Cuba, countries in Africa that would make any other self-respecting dictator blush. And yet the United Nations has chosen to denounce Israel over and over again. Netanyahu pointed that out in his speech.
Standing in this podium 40 years ago, I told the sponsors of that outrageous resolution to expel Israel, gentlemen, check your fanaticism at the door. Today, I tell President Abbas and all of you who would shamefully support that resolution, check your fanaticism at the door.
I'm going to put more of it up over at chuckholton.com. What made it such a masterstroke was that while he was giving the speech, the jets were in the air dropping bunker buster bombs on Dahia in southern Beirut. Now, that particular strike, they gave ample warning to people all across Beirut. They took over radio stations. They sent out text messages. They had leaflets. They had all kinds of stuff all over Beirut, putting out the word, even calling people directly and saying, you should not be there. And they said, if you are in an area that is being used by Hezbollah for military purposes, you should leave that area immediately. So they actually warned the people in southern Beirut. So it's obvious that the people who live in that area were aware that this might happen. So I want you, that's something that the media has not pointed out. The death toll is so low, and the munitions, even though they were extremely powerful and they brought down those 6 buildings, the death toll was very low. So after that happened, Benjamin Netanyahu left New York early, got back on his airplane, flew back to Israel. The Jews need somebody like Bibi Netanyahu that's a strong leader. Now, there's a lot of things that Netanyahu has done that I haven't agreed with. He's certainly not perfect, but he's there right now for such a time as this. I have no doubt. Hezbollah is in disarray. They've lost their entire chain of command at this point. The top, 25 guys, all gone. Mid-level guys, most of them are, if not dead, wounded. And so Hezbollah is now going to be run by people who didn't even merit having a pager. They don't have good communications. Very difficult now for them to communicate with each other. And they're probably communicating with runners, but they've been able to, at the very least, fire hundreds and hundreds of rockets on Israel today. There have not been any reports of deaths or even injuries from the attacks that have happened today. But for now, it looks like Hezbollah is firing blind, just lighting off everything they have left, trying very hard to use it before they get it blown up. And the IAF, for its part, is focusing on two things: taking out the launchers. So every time they fire these things, the launcher is immediately targeted, and it may not be struck because many of these launchers are dug into the ground or they are mobile, so they can move around. And that means the Israelis might have a hard time striking the launchers, but they are going to strike them wherever they can. And firing this many at once means more of those launchers are going to be exposed to IAF counterstrikes. Now, the other thing the IAF is focusing on right now is the border between Syria and Lebanon. And they are firing on anything that looks like it might be bringing munitions in. And they're also taking out they're doing other targeted strikes on vehicles that are likely carrying bad people that they need to take a dirt nap. They also put out the word today. They sent a message to the airport in Beirut and said, we know that they have been flying weapons in through the airport. That is a civilian airport, and we will only allow it to be used for civilian purposes. So if you allow a plane load of weapons into the civilian airport in Beirut, we will strike it. It will become a legitimate military target. And there was a cargo plane flying from Tehran, headed towards Beirut. And the phone rang in the control tower in the Beirut airport, and it was the IDF. And they were saying, hey, we see this plane coming from Tehran. We just want you to know that if that thing lands in Beirut, it's going to go up in a plume of smoke. And somebody scrambled very quickly and called them, and that plane turned around and went back to Iran. So they're done playing. The IAF, the IDF, they're done playing. And this is not over by any stretch. No way. Now, I wanted to also point out, some people are saying that, wow, Hezbollah just was defeated. No, they still have people that are willing to fight. And as long as there are people that are willing to fight, they're not defeated. There are two things necessary to fully defeat them, and that is to wipe out their ability to fight. That is to take out their comms, take out their munitions, take out their infrastructure. Those three things. And then the other thing that has to happen is you've got to take out their desire to fight. As long as there's the desire, they're going to find a way to keep this going. Now, do I think that Israel will go into Lebanon? Yes, I do. I do think that they will go into Lebanon, and I think it will be soon. They are still fighting in Gaza. They are still being targeted by the Houthis. There was a missile that was launched today at central Israel. It landed near Jerusalem. It looks like the Houthis are using better quality munitions to fire at Israel because, like, for months they couldn't even get anything into Israel. One was a drone and it caused one death. But other than that, they have been shot down. No injuries, no damage. But here Israel is fighting. They're still having problems in Judea and Samaria, fighting on a 7-front war. And the UN still calls them the aggressor. Thank you very much for watching. God bless you. And keep praying for the peace of Israel. We will see you again. I'll be reporting on and off throughout this tour. So both from Jordan and from Israel. So stay tuned.